A colleague told me this story during a break from the perspective of her daughter. I am telling the story in the first person. Let me say right away, this is a true story. So I was about 10 years old at the time. I didn't visit my grandmother as often as I would have liked. Recently my grandfather passed away. He lived with that grandmother, as did my uncle, her son. He drank, including on that day. I came with my mom. My uncle's girlfriend was there too. They were sitting and drinking. The conversation turned to the topic of my grandfather. Grandma had already told my mom and me before that someone was walking around the apartment. It wasn't all that surprising to hear this because according to Grandma's stories, she saw something like a soul, a white cloud, fly out of my grandfather's mouth, head toward the corner, and disappear there. So, they were talking about him, reminiscing about happy moments, and also about how kind he was and so on. I really like these kinds of topics for conversation, but after Grandma's stories about someone walking around in the very room where the soul left, I didn't really want to stay the night there, but I had to, since my mom had been drinking. We had to stay overnight. Since my grandfather was paralyzed in his right arm and left leg, he walked by shuffling his foot. That's how he walked around the apartment even after the funeral. He would walk as usual from my grandmother's room to the kitchen to smoke, shuffling his feet and flicking his lighter, my grandmother said, but he never entered my uncle's room. I don't know why. It was already quite late and my brother's girlfriend went home. Only my grandmother, my mother, my uncle and I were left. My uncle was already quite drunk. Everyone was getting ready for bed. Grandma told my mom that she would sleep with her in the big room, on the very couch where Grandpa had died. Of course, my mom didn't want to sleep on it after Grandma's stories, but Grandma didn't attach any significance to what had happened after his death. So I ended up sleeping with my uncle in the same bed. It seemed like everyone had fallen asleep. I woke up to some shuffling noises coming from the big room toward the kitchen. I was seriously frightened. My heart started pounding wildly. As far as I could tell, my mom and Grandma weren't there. I figured that out from the voices outside. So I just lay there and listened to the footsteps. I don't remember how long. He kept walking to the kitchen and back to the room, flicking his lighter as he went. I started reciting prayers to myself. I didn't recite them for long. After a while, I drifted off to sleep. I woke up to my mother's screams. I clearly remember that she screamed exactly 3 times, and after her screams, my grandfather's footsteps headed from the living room to the kitchen, as usual. This frightened me all over again, and not just a little. I started reciting prayers again, but then Grandpa stopped near my uncle's door. I fell silent, my breathing quickened. It seemed to me that he was standing there, listening. No, it didn't just seem that way to me. That's exactly how it was. I tried to wake my uncle and asked him to bring me some water, so the spirit would go away. It seemed to me that if my uncle got up and went to the kitchen, he would disappear. But it wasn't that simple. My uncle was quite drunk, and to put it mildly, he told me off and said I should go get the water myself, but I didn't really want to drink, and I didn't want to go to the kitchen to the dead grandfather either. Then my grandfather moved from his spot and went further into the kitchen. Smoking in the kitchen, I drifted off to sleep again. I woke up again to the exact same footsteps. I thought it would never end. The night dragged on for so long, and my nerves were already shot. It was really creepy, but he never came into my uncle's room, and that's what saved me. After my prayers, I fell asleep again, but this time until morning. When I woke up, I felt relieved that it was all over. The morning was just like any other. I hadn't told anyone anything yet, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But when my grandmother went to the store and my uncle was asleep, I told my mom that Grandpa had come. That I woke up 3 times during the night and heard his footsteps, that I woke up to her screams, and at the same time I asked her why she was screaming. She told me something too. So she was lying there, half asleep, or maybe not really asleep at all. She opened her eyes and saw Grandpa in front of her, along with Mom's uncle, who had died a long time ago. That was Grandpa's brother, apparently. Grandpa was wearing the same clothes he was buried in, and her uncle was dressed the same way. So he was standing by the sofa, reaching out his hand to her, said something to her. I don't remember exactly what. She screamed. Then they walked around a bit more. They walked around the room and went to the kitchen, but she didn't see that anymore because he had disappeared. But I clearly heard him walking from the living room to the kitchen. Mom started nudging Grandma in the side, but she just got angry and snapped at her, "Sleep!" And that's how she fell asleep. But after that, we didn't want to spend the night at Grandma's anymore.